even has a usable tip. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Project Datsun here on the Grumpy Penguin channel, and today we are doing over-fenders. So these are just some generic ones I found on the internet. There's not, if you've got a Datsun Z, especially a Datsun Z, there's like many flavors and varieties available, but for a Roadster, you just kind of have to take some generic ones and make them fit. These came all the way from Kazakhstan on eBay, so kind of interesting, but they actually look like they'll fit pretty nice. They're a decent ABS plastic. They are paintable, so eventually they will get painted. Right now, we're just gonna mock them up, get them set on there, and get the car running. So, and do a little test driving with it. I think they'll take some abuse though. They're pretty flexible and bendable, and they've got a nice like inner lip that might need to be shaved just a little bit. We are pushing the limits of tire fitment on this car. So, I'm gonna show you my technique today for putting these on. I'm not saying my way is the right way, wrong way, or otherwise. I'm just gonna show you how I do this. I've done this on several cars in the past, and I kind of have a pretty decent technique kind of worked up. So let's get into it. First step is going to be taking the wheels off the car and measuring everything out so that we don't cut off more material. It's really hard to put back. I'd rather make 2 or 3 different cuts for clearance than to try to move this thing up to where they look funny and then the ride height just doesn't look right and everything else. So yeah, let's get into it. All right guys, so as I said before, this is my preferred method of doing this, just from experience, but obviously there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, or in this case, cut a fender. So I think first and foremost, any step that you're gonna do is apply masking tape to the area, both so that you can make some reference marks with the fender as well as protect the paint as you're kind of moving stuff on and off. We're gonna obviously damage the paint quite a bit when we cut the fender off, but we don't wanna damage an area that is still viable and good that we're gonna keep. So let's go ahead and get some painter's tape on here. And it doesn't need to be perfect. And I do know as well that I'm gonna be cutting off this section here probably a couple, 2-3 inches in. It's just for clearance. The tire sticks out quite a bit. It is gonna rub here. It beats rubbing. This is easier to remove than if the tire were rubbing on the inside. The frame obviously is much harder to remove than just a little bit of the fender. And when I put a splitter on and get the air dam and everything for that, it'll blend it all in. You won't even notice. All right, next step is to kind of get it mocked up whereabouts you want it. I like to line up the bottom side of the fender lip to the existing lip of the fender. And then what I will do is, when you're working with 2 people, this is easier because you can have somebody hold it and you can take a step back. I'm just here by myself today, so what I'm probably gonna do is grab the tape and just kind of mock tape it in place and take a step back, see how it looks, and then go from there. I think that's gonna work out pretty well. Let's take a step back and see how it looks. We've pretty much got it following the line of the fender, but as you can see, as I kind of move it over here, move the camera over here, is you can kind of see that it doesn't quite, there's like a gap here. So what we're gonna have to do is mark where the fender goes along the fender well. I will mark all of these spots for bolts. We're not gonna drill any holes just yet, but what we'll end up doing is we'll drill a couple of the holes at the top. We'll get the heat gun out and deform the fender to fit into place as we kind of bolt it down. And then once it cools, it will stay in that position since this is ABS plastic. This does not work with fiberglass, but it does actually work with this ABS style plastic. All right, so now we can see where the fender is going to kind of live, for lack of a better term. I haven't marked the bolt holes out just yet because what we're really going to want to do now is figure out what we can take off. We know that those bolt holes are going to fall somewhere kind of in this range here. We'll go ahead and take some more precise measurements, but then what we can do is we can figure out kind of about where we're gonna cut. And I'm just guessing it's gonna be about right there. And we're gonna take off most of this flare here and leave just the upper part of the fender. So this probably gives the fender a little bit of rigidity, so we're gonna probably have to be a little bit careful with that as far as where we cut and how much we cut off. I might leave just a little bit of the bend on this fender because I feel like that's gonna give that fender some rigidity that we're gonna wanna maintain. And then I've gotta put the wheel and tire back on here and figure out what part of this I need to cut off. So we'll do that afterwards, but we'll go ahead and get this figured out where that cut line is going to be and make sure that the new fender will completely cover up the missing pieces. So basically what we've got here is this fender failure is very, very large. So working within the bounds of this isn't that difficult. Looks like we've got maybe 3 inches that we've got before we're just gonna even take off what's there. So this should be a pretty easy cut. All right, this did a really nice job of trimming this fender up and just peeking beneath some of the tape. It chewed up the surface just a little bit, but not very bad at all. Nobody's gonna see it anyway. What we'll do to finish this off, if we have enough clearance, if we have to do any more trimming or whatever, is we'll put a little piece of tape here, just kind of give it a little quick spray paint to keep the metal from being exposed so that we don't get any rust. But I'm gonna have to touch up just a few spots, maybe with the angle grinder here and the hammer, and kind of pound some stuff flat. I think most of this is probably gonna go away, but definitely have to kind of maybe trim this up just a little bit better. But overall, it's just that easy to ruin your fender. Now is a good time to get the heat gun out and start relaxing the plastic so that it can fall into place very nicely here. We've got it kind of where we need it, but it's just doing a little bit of an odd bubble through here. Gonna put a little heat into it, see if we can't get it to relax just a little bit, and that way the fender kind of follows the contour it was intended to a little bit better. So we'll just kind of hit these areas right here, kind of slowly bring it down. right, that's all it needed just to kind of relax a lot of that pressure. So let's go ahead and get these last two pieces done. I'm gonna just do a quick trim here. This is just causing a little bit of a fouling issue. Actually, no, it's not, we're good. Yeah, so just gonna go ahead and get these last couple of rib nuts placed, and we'll get it on there. We'll get it heated up real nice to kind of relax the whole thing, get it held into position. We'll be good to go. All right, there you have it. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna add that final gasket trim, take the tape off, of course, finish trimming this section here. All right, guys, last step in this process for the fenders is to put the fender gasket material on. It's pretty easy. There is a little red adhesive strip here. I'm not gonna fully glue it to the fenders or activate that adhesive strip because it's just simply not ready quite yet. But I will get it cut to length so that it can develop a bit of a memory on the car. When I send these off to paint, I'll just pull the weather stripping off, and then when I get them back, I will fully adhere it to the fender liner. So let's get that attached and then get the fender put on the car. All right, guys, this is the final result. I'm super happy with how this came out. Really pumped that the massive flares are on here and they cover the tires. I think I'm gonna have to maybe trim or move this one just a little bit. As I was turning the wheel for just checking some fitment, it got pretty tight through there. The alignment is not set yet either. This is basically at 0 camber. Obviously, that's not what I'm gonna run for the end result, but they are on here. It's looking pretty mean, and now I can kind of get everything dialed in, get it ready, and send these off to get body matched. And I think in body color, the size and shape will blend in just a little bit better and be a little less distracting from the overall look of the car. But really super happy with how this came out. The rears look really good as well. Super happy there. Again, right now the whole car looks just a little funny being black and white and blue and oddly black, kind of fake vinyl-y top that we'll get to later. But yeah, I got a hard top. Hey, you guys probably didn't notice that, but maybe if you follow me on Instagram, you do. So yeah, now I'm gonna take the opportunity to button up a few more things to do the first start, and then we can start driving this car around, putting some test miles on it before I take it to the track and blow it up on the first run of an autocross course for something super obvious that could be found by just driving it up the driveway. So that's gonna be the next project, and the next video should be either getting everything finalized or even the first start. So please stay tuned. We are at the end of this massively long adventure with this car, and this season it is going to see some events, and I'm really pumped to get it out there and show it to you all and just get some race time and some seat time in this car. I think it's gonna be a riot. It's certainly gonna look the part. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.